She goes over to the wall and unplugs everything to plug in her phone charger. The whole place goes. I'm telling you, it's incredible.
Hit the boogie woogie, hit the jive. Do a little twist and dance all night.
Dustin saw me play, so I pulled in some of his tracks, and it was still like playing EDM and like club music. He DM'd me the next day and he goes, dude, I perform at XS in 2 weeks. I don't want to do your traditional country set at a nightclub. He goes, I want it to go hard. He goes, can you help me? I was like, yes. Some of those fairs and festivals I do, and they're like in the middle of nowhere. Like I'll fly into Denver, drive 4 hours, you get out to these spots and like there's nothing there, and then you get there and there's 50,000 people for a show, and like you're like, this is awesome.
What about the feeling you get after a big show like that?
It's amazing. It's the most amazing high that no drug or alcohol or anything can match, you know.
Do a little twist and dance all night.
Welcome to The One Sheet, presented by DistroKid. I am Kyle Fortch, and today the guest on the show, he's a DJ that has hosted and played at the biggest stages, biggest events, biggest parties in North America, including Broadway, including the CMA after parties, Vegas. DJ Grant Fisher.
Hey,
welcome to the show, man. Thanks for taking a break from your tour that you're on.
Yeah.
Your continuous tour.
Yeah, it's still going, baby, which is great. I usually, you know, in December, January, and February, December stays pretty busy, but like you don't really tour a lot in those months. And it's just been wild, man. Wild ride lately. It's been really fun.
I've literally seen you everywhere on social media lately. I'm like, I got to get this guy on the show if he has at least one day in between. I saw you, when I got to town, you were doing the CMA after parties.
Yeah.
And I see you in Vegas. Most of these shows have been with Dustin Lynch, right? You're doing some stuff with him.
That's been a really cool thing. It's kind of crazy because you go back 2 years in time, and Dustin saw me play a gig here in Nashville. He'd just done some event, and like him and everyone came over to where I was DJing, and it was like it was kind of a one-off gig for me. I hadn't played that venue very much, and here they come, everything's cool. I was like, oh, Dustin, you know, and I pulled in some of his tracks, and you know, with modern DJ software, you can actually pull stems, like you can pull just a vocal or just the musical track or whatever on the fly, and I just did that with a couple of his songs in the middle of my set. Well, you know, and it was still like, you know, still playing EDM and like club music. Yeah. And he freaked out, and his manager freaked out, and they're like, that was incredible. Thank you so much. And he DM'd me the next day, and he goes, dude, the next time, or not the next time, but like if I ever have a chance to work with a DJ in the future, I'm going to give you a shout. I was like, awesome. This is great. Cool. And, you know, fast forward 2 years to this year, and I think we did our first gig in at XS at the Wynn in Vegas, and
massive club.
It's incredible. That place is incredible. Everything in the staff there is awesome. It's just everything about it's great. And he goes, I perform at XS in 2 weeks, and I was like, okay. And he goes, I don't want to just get up there and play my songs with a guitar and stuff. I don't want to do your traditional, you know, country set at a nightclub. He goes, I want it to go hard. I said, he goes, can you help me? I was like, yes, 100%.
Like, hell yeah. Okay.
So immediately I you know, he's sending me all the stems of his songs. I get a team together he had a guy, he goes by Warner. It's a really great producer. And I hooked up with him and a couple other guys, and I was like, all right, let's get to work. And so, you know, I pull in all the tracks and start working on it to put together like a 30-minute set. And I'm like, he said, go hard. So like, I'm like, okay, so we're going to do like future-based drops. We're going to do drops and make it like full-blown nightclub. And so we started building the set out, and then we figured out some of the fun covers and stuff. And I mean, I probably worked on it 8 hours a day, every day for about 10 straight days to get just that 30 minutes to have an amazing flow. Cause you have to look at beats per minute. You have to look at key signatures. You have to look at all these things. And then you have to look at like energy of songs too. Like you don't want to just literally hit a banger after banger where you're putting a drop every single time. You want kind of like ebbs and flows in the set so that like it's, you know, and you're also going to have country music fans there.
Yeah.
You're also going to have people that may not even know who he is, maybe heard of him, whatever, but are there for a nightclub experience. So like what we created in that 30 minutes is like super incredible. It's very unique. And, you know, I don't know anyone in the country world that's doing it, to be honest. And that's definitely the feedback we've gotten. So we did that gig, and it was supposed to just be a one-off, and it crushed. It crushed. The place went wild. The staff loved it, and they're like, "We want you back," you know. And the people from Live, because they just opened Fontainebleau in Vegas, they're like, "Hey, come do this in Miami, like as soon as possible."
You were just at Art Basel.
So yeah, that was just me. 2 weeks after that XS gig, we booked Miami for Live, and then I booked I was just at Art Basel for just a DJ. You know, I did Dare in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay,
it was really cool. It was really fun. Crazy busy down there, man.
That's awesome.
Insane.
Was Dustin in the studio with you at all when you were preparing the set list, or did you kind of put it together and then present it to him and then make the final adjustments?
So it was a little bit of both. I created an initial set, and then I give him options of like, all right, based on the covers that you like mentioned, I went in and like redrummed and rebased them. And, you know, when you're playing like a club set, you don't want to play a full song usually. You're usually like a verse, chorus, drop, or like if you're doing a cover, you're just a verse, chorus. And so you got to create drums before and after and all that kind of stuff. So I sent him like a rough thing, and then that's when the work really starts happening, because then you start to get an idea of the show, and he's like, okay, so I liked this here, I didn't like that there, you know, and then we're also working with his producer, Zach. He's like, can we try some different drums on this one? You know, they want it to be super clean and pro, so that's what we did. And it took a lot. It took a lot of note taking and like just constant working on it, and we got it honed in pretty good. Now, like the show we just did in past weekend at XS on Friday, that was with Diplo and Brandy Cyrus. It's evolved even more, and it's like more, it's tighter, and it just went great. And all the, you know, a lot of Dustin's team and like agencies and management stuff, they wanted to see it for themselves, so they all came out and they all freaked out. They're like, "Oh, we can sell this." So it's really cool.
Did you guys get to plan the production behind it too, or was that more on XS and the venue?
So it's kind of cool, because traditionally speaking, like you would almost like pre-record the whole thing, and that's not what we did. And that was partly what I wanted. I was like, you know, to be honest, initially when he asked me, I think in his mind, he was thinking it was just going to be a 30-minute pre-recorded set. And then I was like, I think this would be way cooler if it's a little bit of both. Like the front end and the back end will kind of almost pre-record, so to speak, like pre-mix and everything. And then the middle section, so that we can let me DJ it.
Yeah.
So that we can create moments where you can interact with the crowd and talk. Maybe you're like, want to take more than a minute or two during that time to like get out into the crowd and pour shots of tequila, whatever, and not be stuck to this rigid thing. So it's like, it's a mixture of me like truly DJing and mixing. And then that also gives us the ability to kind of like, maybe we want to throw a different song into that section last minute.
Yeah,
we can. And so I like, just for rehearsal purposes, I'll pre-record it, like I'll DJ it all and pre-record it and send it to the guys to just practice so they get the show flow. And then, and I'll send that, like, I contacted the light engineers and the production guys at like XS, and I was like, hey, here's the set.
Yeah.
Creatively create what you think would be cool. Like, and then I give them a couple moments, like, I'd be like, okay, so like when we go on, I want to black the whole club out, pitch black, like no lights on, whatever. And it's really awesome because the set starts with this like, like just chest shaking deep bass thing that like just shocks you. and then the like lasers come on. It's just freaking awesome. So they created a really cool light show for us.
I love that side of things. Production's like my favorite. Besides actually making the music, I'm like, I want it to be an entire experience.
Well,
for the
and
audience.
you know, like especially in the EDM world, you really kind of need it. Like it lives together, and I'm a huge fan of like people having ownership in things. Like instead of us giving these long outwinded notes of what we want, that lighting tech that has done it for everyone from Diplo to Marshmallow, everyone.
Yeah.
Like, and he probably doesn't get to just really just like, you know, raw dog it, so to speak, and like come up with his own like light show for stuff that often. And so he was super excited and he put his whole heart into it, and you could see it. Like
That's cool.
It crushed. He had all the moments. Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
When you were preparing the set list, did you have to cut new vocals with Dustin, or did you have to add in any yourself to make it fit the EDM? Because I know you were a singer too, so I mean, wouldn't surprise me if you were adding some background vocals or anything just to make it more
You know what? I didn't
dancey.
have to mess with vocals at all. I processed some of them to add some verb, and then I wanted when they send you stems, like you're getting super clean, good quality stuff anyways. So like on songs like Chevrolet, where, you know, it's like almost a crowd sing along segments. Like so I went back in and I mixed his vocal in lower so that, you know, most of the guys that they perform in Vegas, like they sing along to her tracking vocal because it just sounds better to the audience, you know? So I kept his vocal in, but I tucked it down.
Okay.
So that you could tell he's singing, but like there's also just like a nice like foundation for him to sing along to as well. Some of the songs he literally is just he's singing, it's just him on the tracks, and it works great.
Yeah.
But like on Chevrolet, took his vocal completely out of that one, and he sings along to it, and because there's a lot of group vocals in that, and so like I kind of amped those up to literally so that like makes it feel like the crowd singing, and then they of course sing along too, so it really works out great. But yeah, I didn't have to do much with the vocals, and I definitely didn't sing on anything. That's not to say that I might think of ways to do that in the future, but right now, no. For the show right now, I'm not singing on anything.
How many sets have you done or performances have you done with Dustin Lynch so far? And like, are there more? Are you guys kind of doing a tour, or was it just select events that he was doing?
It's pretty cool. Let's see. We've done 3 so far. Yeah.
Was the CMA after party, was that with him, or was that your own party?
The CMA after party was just me, but I also opened for Dustin on Broadway.
Cool.
On the Chevy stage, which that's the first time I've like opened for Dustin, and it was funny because I was like, I go, what do you want me to play? Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to do like the typical, you know, Sweet Caroline? He goes, no. He goes, I want you to rip it. I was like,
sweet.
I go, are you sure? He goes, 100%. And this is why I love Dustin. He like really wants you to like kind of do your art and be you too. You know, like he wants to see me succeed as well. So it's, you know, I got up there, dude. I was playing stuff that I was shaking that stage so hard with some of the wubs and stuff, like drum and bass and stuff I played, that like I thought the lights were gonna fall on me. But you know what? When I went up there were people walking Broadway and stuff, but there was no one really at the stage waiting. And then I started playing, and almost like 5 minutes in, man, there's 10,000 people just going wild. And I was like, this is awesome. And Dustin, even when he came out, he's like, holy shit, you know, like there's so many people. This is great, you know? And of course, a lot of them were there for him.
Yeah.
But it felt really good to me to like build that for him, you know, like to have it ready for him to rock and roll. Cause whenever you have a crowd that's like already amped up and fired up because the opening stuff like built up, it's great.
It's important. People don't understand how important like having a DJ or an opener is for an artist. Like,
so important. And you know what? There's some artists that they just don't want you to rip it. They want you to just kind of, they want the volume brought down. They want you to kind of stick to a script of like just, you know, certain tracks and things like that. They almost tell you what to play. And that's all fine and good, and I get it. I don't know that I would be interested in a gig like that because I feel kind of like you're not underutilizing me, so to speak. but it's not Dustin. He's like, no, if I can't match your energy, which is what he wants to do. He wants to match your energy, like that big thing, he was like, I want it to be crazy. I want it to be a party. Yeah. So it's super cool. This has been awesome. Really awesome.
We were kind of just talking before we hit record, but I was just at Jelly Roll. I think it was last week. His headline at Bridgestone. Yeah. But so Ernest was an opener for him, and Ernest brought out Morgan Wallen, which is crazy. As an opener is crazy. But in between him and Jelly Roll, DJ Chill is DJ. I forget who his duo partner is. They have a duo where they perform on tour with him. But yeah, you would think like having Morgan Wallen as an opener, like I understand crowd burnout is a thing too, so you don't want to get them going too much. And you would think having Morgan Wallen, like maybe you give the crowd a break because they just saw, one of the biggest artists in the world now is another one of the biggest artists in the world right now coming out. Give them a little bit of a break. But no, because of how Jelly opened his show, they needed the energy to still be high. So Chill and them were getting the crowd pumped up. They were playing hits after hits. I was vibing. I was I just sat down, was ready to chill, like listen to some Ernest and then get into Jelly. And I'm bumping. I'm like, this is cool.
And everyone's feedback on that concert is like, it was an experience.
It was the greatest live show I've ever been to.
You're the 10th person to say that to me, which makes me very jealous that I wasn't there. But that's it, man. Like, sometimes I wonder sometimes if it's the artist that's like, no, I don't want the openers to like outshine me or whatever, or if it's, agents or managers or whatever, like, and the artist is not even aware of these conversations. I do wonder that sometimes, but I think the way to go is like, man, you want people to shine and you want it to be a front to back experience, not just like, and you want the energy high. And if you don't match your opener's energy, like you should rethink things and be like, how do we beat that? Like, what do we need to do to beat that so that it's just this roller coaster of awesome, the whole time, So it's really cool to see that. And that shows that Jelly's, he's been in it a long time. Yeah. And he knows, like, just like make it a whole thing. I love that. I love the feedback that I've heard about that. I never hear that much feedback that it's the best show I've been to ever, is what people are saying. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of shows too.
Same.
Like, I haven't been to Taylor Swift, her Eras tour or any of hers. Yeah. I mean, she always has great production. But in terms of the ones that I've been to, especially whether it's arena, festival, whatever, greatest live experience overall that I've been to. Everything, his vocals, the dance, the production, everything, even the cameras, the cameras that follow you on stage, it was cinematic. It wasn't just an extra camera. So I think they were filming for a documentary or something else that's going to come out. But even just seeing it, I was like, man, that is not what this normally looks
awesome.
Like.
It's so awesome.
Like normally the Jumbotron footage is like a beat off. So like when you're watching, the vocals are slightly off. These were perfectly on. I was like, I've never seen that before.
Well, and on a smaller scale, that's what people are saying about this show that we built with Dustin Lynch. Right. They're like, and if you really think about it, I can't honestly think of many country artists that could do it, or that even want to, with some of these guys' schedules, man, they're slammed, and Dustin is too. But like, he doesn't mind, these set times are like 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and you've been like, you just may have played a live show at a festival earlier that day or whatever, and like you're just going, but he just loves it. And I mean, it's great. It's awesome. And with that being said, it's like, on some of the other nights from Vegas this weekend, a lot of the headline country artists that were like paired with big DJs and stuff, the country artist just got up and sang 2 songs and was out. Like, and some of that is like, you lose some of the energy that way, but this Dustin show, it's nuts. It's nuts.
You've played a lot of different like styles of shows from Vegas to festivals to Broadway clubs. Do you have a different process for how you get ready for each one of them?
Yes.
Like in terms of whether it's like a ritual or if it's like depending on how you get your mix set up. Because I mean, I've heard you talk about it in the past. Broadway getting your mix set up is different than a live show, like how you just prepared the one with Dustin.
Totally different. I really try to like when it comes to Nashville, obviously I know this demographic really well, and I stick to like an open format thing here, and I love to like, I'll either make edits of songs that I think will work or remixes and add those to the set, and then obviously I kind of go all over the place, like literally open format. So like, I might play some hip hop here, I might throw a huge dubstep drop on you, I might hit some progressive house stuff up top, might play some Latin stuff.
Cool.
Because at the end of the day, like you have to look like at the population of the United States. It's like 17% Hispanic, 13%, African American, 80% white, whatever. You look at this demographics, and if you can look out in the crowd and you see like a solid mixture of all walks of life, that I love that, because then I am kind of like, then I can play some Latin stuff, play some hip hop, play some, and everyone's kind of getting stuff that they like, but they're also being exposed to things they may not know. And honestly, I don't play a ton of country here in Nashville. There are like venues that want just more heavily country, but I like to play the ones where they kind of like let me read the room, and play to the crowd and play a mixed set. It's crazy. I mean, I get a lot of like East Indians come to my sets and stuff, because I'll play Punjabi stuff and like Indian stuff.
Some of that music goes so hard too,
bro,
especially in a club setting.
I just saw a TikTok of a Indian metal band the other day, and I was freaking out. It was sick. Dude, you've got to see it.
I've never seen it.
Bro, it'd blow your mind. It's the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. Like it's a metal band, so like they're going hard, and in like the drop part of their like song where they're just riffing and stuff, they're hitting Indian beats like it's freaking sick. It was sick. I want to make like an insane dubstep remix of it, because it's that cool.
That would be unreal.
But like you said, with the preparation and stuff, it's like, outside of Nashville, like I if I'm playing Miami, like I know I'm going to have more Hispanic crowd people. So like, sure, I definitely take that into account. But I also want to bring some of Nashville to those cities too. 'Cause I mean, a lot of these big songs, like especially like the Morgan Wallen stuff, and like, even like, throwback Shania Twain, whatever.
Yeah.
People know it. Like in Dustin's set, one of the covers we do is, Fishing in the Dark.
I mean, everybody knows that song.
Every person in the crowd, I don't care what color they are or what nationality or whatever, every freaking person sings it.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, it was kind of unexpected to see the whole freaking place singing it, but they do, because a lot of people come from small towns, like, and they're exposed to those songs. So It's really cool. It's really cool to do.
We literally, Fish in the Dark was in high school. We do like the learning dance portion of PE. That was the song that we learned how to do that too.
And that's up in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is a service that more than 2 million artists use to put music into online streaming services such as Spotify, TikTok, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon, Instagram, YouTube, and any others that you can think of. They don't even take a commission and offer unlimited uploads for a yearly subscription fee as low as $22.99. As many of you artists know, this is vastly different from the traditional model, which charges you up to $40 per release. And on top of that, they take up to 9% of your sales and streams. DistroKid also offers automatic payment splits, so you can easily pay your collaborators or be paid if you collaborate with someone or work on a track or album if you're a songwriter, producer, feature. And for all you cover artists, you can even upload your cover songs for $12 a year on DistroKid rather than paying a per release licensing fee. On top of all of that, they offer several free promo tools for DistroKid members and have several additional services like DistroVid for music video distribution and Mixia, their instant mastering service. If you're curious about artists who have used DistroKid and want to hear more about it from them, check out some of the testimonials at distrokid.com/love. DistroKid's goal is to reach more independent artists so that they can get their music out there. Use our promo code THE1SHEET for 30% off your first year when you sign up for a new DistroKid membership. Again, that's THE1SHEET for 30% off your first year when signing up for a new membership. When you're preparing for these shows, like say it's like a festival show or like XS with Dustin Lynch, what are you doing in the hours leading up to the show? Like how early do you get to the venue and what are you doing in the green room in the back to showtime?
So man, for me, I'm like an over preparer. So by the time I get to Vegas or one of these shows for Excess, whatever, I have overly prepared. And that's from having like 3 thumb drives in my pocket to like, because the nice thing about DJing for 8 years is I've had every disaster happen of all time, every single one. And so like, I know how to prepare to avoid that.
What are some of the biggest? You can answer after.
Oh my gosh. Right off the top of my head, I'm playing Whiskey Row one night, and it was back whenever it was like the spot. There wasn't DJs everywhere. There was just a few places that had DJs on Broadway, and the place is packed. It's a Saturday night. This girl asked me for a phone charger, that's pretty normal to ask the DJ for a phone charger. I was like, I don't have one. She goes over to the wall and unplugs everything to plug in her phone charger. And the whole place goes, I'm telling you, it's incredible. And then, like I have millions of stories like this from people dumping stuff on your, like spilling their drinks, everything.
How did you deal with the situation when the girl just yanked everything out of the wall?
Luckily, my mic was still working, so I literally got the crowd singing a song. I want to say, I can't remember what song it was. Either way, I got them like singing along to like a sing along because thankfully I can sing a little bit.
It was Fishing in the Dark.
Yeah, it should have been. It should have been. Back then, I wasn't playing like a Fishing in the Dark very often, but no, I got them like just singing along with me, and you know what it was? I think it was one time for the like birthday bitch or something.
Okay.
And by the time we got through singing that together, everything was back up and running. But sheesh. I mean, even in Vegas this weekend, like leading up to the gig. So the guys at XS were like, hey, we saved your, profile of how you guys liked your mixes and everything. You don't have to come sound check. And like something in me was like, I really want a sound check. Because we'd only done one there so far. And like, I'm sure we could tweak it a little more to make it better for the guys and stuff. And they're like, no problem, So leading up to that, like all the work's been put in. So a sound check's always nice because it kind of calms the nerves, gets you used to the room and everything. Yeah. And they had a bunch of cool new decorations and the stage was a little different. So like all those things are surprises if you walk in and you're about to go on stage. Like you kind of don't want surprises. You want to know because then your nerves are calm. And so I walk in and man, I've played on every rig, I thought. There's a mixer that's Pioneer makes called the V10.
Okay.
It's a 6-channel thing. They're super rare. They're extremely expensive, but you see them a lot with a lot of the OGs and like a lot of the really big guys like Diplo and stuff like that. And they it's on their rider. They want that in there. And I show up and it's V10. And I'm like, oh shit. It's like, I've never played on one of these. They all essentially work the same, but like the V10, I'll be honest, man, it's really cool. It has incredible like stuff that it can do that none of the other like standard club rigs, like it's like it almost splits it into more control. So you can really do some wild transitions and effects and stuff. But going on the fly, you're not going to figure those things out and you don't want to. Like, I mean, most boards, I don't even have to look down. I can literally just, it's just like a secondhand nature. Yeah. But with a new board, so I'm looking down, I'm like, someone's got to show me how to use this. So they had a tech come over and he's like, I think this one does this. I was like, do you mind if I just DJ for a minute? Yeah. I was like, do you mind if I just DJ for a minute and I'm just going to turn knobs and see what everything does. Took me about 2 minutes. And I was like, and DL's like, Grant, please tell me something good. Please tell me something. I had him freaking out kind of. I was like, we're good. He goes, you swear? And I was like, swear, we're good. So it goes to show you like sometimes you want, if a place offers you a sound check, take it every time because it's like, you never know what you're walking into with spots, man. You just never know.
That's something that a lot of people might not know too as a DJ. Like DJs aren't always bringing their own gear to events.
Ever.
Especially to clubs. Like I managed in countless clubs and bars and venues back home, and rarely did a DJ bring their own gear. It's like, what do you got? They're like, oh, this is what I'm using. And I'm like, oh shit, this is not what you normally use.
Yeah, dude.
They're like, nope. There's one DJ that I know, his name's DJ Cov. I'm really close with a shout out. DJ Cov put me on radio for the first time, but anytime he ever does his shows, he brings his gear. So his stuff is smooth as can be. He knows his gear. He brings it with him.
Yep.
He's probably the only one that I've ever seen him consistently bring his own stuff.
See, there's a lot of these fairs and festivals, because they're so remote, I have to bring my own rig. And so obviously it's just so easy, even though it's not necessarily great on the back carrying that stuff through the airport. But yeah, all these nightclubs, you get what you get.
Yeah.
And listen, it's a pretty standard thing. It's like you get 4 CDJ 3000s, and you're either going to have a DJ M900, an A9, or sometimes a V10. And you just got to be ready, man. You got to be ready. I'm good now. I mean, Brandy Cyrus played that night too, and she said the same thing. She'd never played on a V10. They're pretty rare. They're really rare. And so she was like, oh. But since she started the night, she had time to familiarize with it and stuff too. Right. You know, but even like with the thumb drives and stuff, man, like the reason I make 3 is because you just literally don't know what can happen. Like something could, like magnetic could wipe one, something like you might lose one. For instance, these specific brand of thumb drives I had for this trip, like I went to test them on CDJ 2000s, which were the ones right before the 3, and they wouldn't work. And I was like, oh crap. But they work fine on the 3000. So like there's you just want like backups of backups of backups and like every contingency, because if it can happen, statistically speaking, it probably will at some point. And you just like, you want to be able to roll no matter what.
That's happened to me with hard drives, like those lacy hard drives. I had, it was the last time I was in town, actually. We were shooting a TV show. Yeah. And part of my job was I was overseeing all of the social media. And I had all of my cuts, everything from teaser videos to behind the scenes stuff on this hard drive, to even my other podcast, like the first couple seasons, everything was on this hard drive. All of a sudden it just stops working. I took it to, I was on the phone with Lacey for hours. I took it to countless tech people.
I took that stuff on something else.
No, I took it to a tech company that exports shit for the FBI, and they couldn't even get this shit out of there. I still have this drive and I cannot get it off of it. I was like, I'm so screwed for this entire show. Luckily, we had to end up changing everything and reshooting everything for the show anyway. So I was like, I didn't need any of it.
I mean, just with Dustin's stuff, I have all of Dustin's stuff on my cloud. I have it all on Dropbox. I have it all in like an email format. I have it all on my physical laptop, which is also backed up to do different things. And then I have the show on 4 thumb drives. A thumb drive that I keep with me all the time that has all my DJ music of all kinds. It's like a terabyte. And then 3 others that are like just in case.
Yeah.
And that way, say we get to the show and I don't know, a dog ate the thumb drive, whatever.
Yeah.
I can there's just backups of backups. We'll be able to do it no matter what. But you just have to.
Have to be prepared.
Dude, can you imagine? Worst nightmare would be showing up and like you have 1 thumb drive. Yeah. And you just happen to, I don't know, walk through TSA and get scanned and it ruined it. And you get to the show. And this is after testing and it worked and all that. And you get to the show. Diplo's standing here, all these people, and you plug it in and the thing doesn't work.
It's like, oh.
Dude, worst nightmare.
What happens if that happens? Was there a way that you can work through that? Like being an experienced DJ like yourself, what would you do?
No, there's nothing. There's nothing you could do. There's nothing you can do if you weren't prepared with a backup and then some kind of email, like you'd be screwed royally.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared for sure.
And these venues are paying tons of money.
Yeah.
To make sure that for this artist to perform. So it's like, there is no room for messing up at all. So I'm very thankful that I got this gig. I mean, Dustin didn't know me that well. You know what I mean? It's like, and like here he is, like literally trusting me with the whole thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot of pressure, but I thrive in it.
Yeah.
You know, I love it.
Have to.
I don't really get stressed about it, but because I've DJ'd so long, like I don't get stressed and I don't really feel pressure because like I know that no matter what, we're going to perform that show and we're going to be good.
I'm similar to you, and I always like to be way over prepared rather than under prepared.
Have
and
to
I
be.
always feel, even if I don't need to be, I feel so much better going in to like the point. It goes back to even just having simple cards, whether we need them or not, or even like social media stuff for
because then
on
you
set.
just
It's like,
get to perform.
exactly.
Like you just get
just
to perform.
comes natural.
You don't have to. All the work's been done and all the stress has been taken out of it. You know, it's like it just makes all the difference in the world.
It adds to that confidence in the back of your mind. It's like you don't have to think about it, because if you're not prepared, you're like, okay, I have to get this. You're thinking about do I have this song ready? Do I have this point ready? Do I have this, and this?
Because I'm live DJing it most of this show, like I have all these mental notes of where I'm moving tempos and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, you're getting bumped by hot girls in the booth and like all these things. And like, you don't want to have to be thinking, oh, is this going to work? Or is like, you know, you just want to just perform, and then it comes off. It's perceived as the crowd like loves it even more because like you're really it's a full blown. You know, all the work's been done, so you just get to have fun.
What's the biggest event that you performed at? So I saw a photo that you posted recently. You were in like a stadium with like 10,000 people or something.
Yeah, that's some of those fairs and festivals I do, which is crazy because I keep rebooking them. Like this year will be the third year I've done a couple of them. And it's like, yeah, man, like, and they're like in the middle of nowhere. Like I'll fly into Denver, drive 4 hours into Nebraska, crossing time zones back and forth, which is a whole nother thing. Especially like if you're really close to a time zone, it gets real wonky. It's like, you know, you think you're supposed to be somewhere at this time, but they're like literally a few miles apart, but they're different time zones. Like, dude, it's a nightmare. But I had to learn the hard way on that too. And so like you get out to these spots and like there's nothing there, and then you get there and there's 50,000 people for a show, and like you're like, this is awesome. And they're so sweet and thankful that you've come out there, like, because you know there's not much out there.
Yeah.
And what's really wild is the response that I'm getting to these from these crowds, where like they'll have like a country headliner that's big, they'll have a rock headliner that's big, and then like I'll DJ in between that and throw kind of like the after party, so to speak, and it's just like they love it. And I'm playing like really modern EDM and like country remixes as well, and then like some really like Vegas style set stuff, and they're eating it up. And it's great because it brings in a younger demographic, and the people stay longer and spend money, and they're like, this is awesome. I hit all the boxes. I got to see like this awesome country and rock thing. And then they like, you know, EDM. I think a big testament of that is like the internet. You know, these kids all have TikTok and stuff. They're seeing this music, and like, you know, a lot of these huge EDM artists, it's not even on the radar to go out and do a show out there, you know, not at all. And, you know, maybe because production needs, or maybe they just don't realize that, like, they probably have some fans out there, man.
Yeah.
And, like, it'd be really awesome. So,
Have you ever done Calgary Stampede?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
You should.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
You and Dustin doing that, like that XS Vegas type of show at Stampede would be wicked.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Calgary Stampede? You know the
I've
vibe?
definitely heard of it. I think I either follow it or see it on my like Instagram thing, and I'm like, whoa, that looks sick.
I feel like we've talked about it every episode so far, but it's basically an 11-day long music festival. And rodeo. The rodeo is kind of in the background now, which used to be the most important part, but now it's every club in the city has a tent that has minimum 500, maximum 7,000 people in them.
Yes.
So there's these big clubs. There's one called Badlands, which actually Diplo just played at. He comes back to Stampede almost every year, every second year.
Dude, that guy,
it's
incredible, the schedule. A lot of these guys, the schedule that they keep up with. Like, I think I'm busy. It's like, whoa, it's insane. Like, it's just insane. I'd love to sit down with Diplo and be like, what is your like what is your health routine? Like, what are
Yeah.
what are you eating? And like, cause I see, like, I follow him and he exercises a lot and stuff. I'm still trying to figure out how to like maintain like a healthy balance whenever I'm going from one, especially like this weekend I was in Vegas and then went straight to Art Basel and all that. Like I was supposed to go and hang out at Live on Saturday night because John Summit was playing there. And I'll be honest, man, I got off the plane, ate a bite, and then slept for 14 hours. I woke up the next day. Like, I was like, oh, well, there's that.
You needed it.
I needed it. But imagine that I'd had to, originally I was supposed to perform on Saturday out on a yacht with Leon Bridges. So there was supposed to be like an event out there, and I was literally going to get off the plane and go do that. But it fell through, not a last minute thing. It fell through like 3 days prior. So like, to be honest, I probably would have gone to bed way earlier in Vegas knowing that I need to be rested for that next gig. But I stayed up all night. I stayed up till like forever.
It had to after a show like that.
And then I slept for 14 hours, but it is what it is. But going back to like the dimple, I'm like, I really would like to see what some of these guys, that could be a whole thing in general. A whole podcast could be dedicated to what these guys do to stay in shape and healthy. Because, you know, I mean, who was it? Alesso that I just saw recently just canceled several dates.
It might have been
because
him,
he's
yeah.
exhausted, like
Yeah.
mentally, physically, and he's like feels sick. You know, because this is a tough life, bro.
Yeah.
It's like,
I have a hard enough time figuring out how to be healthy when I come back to Nashville. I'm like,
well, it's like, you know, I can't take my pre-made meals with me. I'm not
Yeah.
flying. I'm personally not flying on private jets and stuff. And
yeah,
you know, it's
one
like,
day.
yeah,
It'd be nice when we get to that point.
yeah, that'd be really awesome.
A lot easier to travel with my cat too.
Dude, I'd love to take my dog. But see, my dogs wouldn't enjoy that. My dogs would not enjoy going from city to city. I would love for them to come, but
Yeah, especially as much as you do.
yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
tough.
I'd have to hire someone just to come with them also to like just be with them.
Yeah.
They're not hotel dogs for sure.
That's fair.
But, you know, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I get back yesterday on Monday and I just hung out at the house and chilled and started laundry and all that. And then today we're doing this, and then I'm going to go back and start packing because I leave for Aspen tomorrow. We're doing a bunch of
Right.
cool stuff in Aspen. I'm doing one show with, you know, Dustin there, and then I got a DJ, and then doing, you know, Paul Cawthon's playing. It's going to be a really cool setup. But yeah, it's just go.
What's the feeling you get when you get up on stage in front of these big crowds, like with Dustin at XS and like these stadiums?
When it's just me, it's you have a little nerves, especially I only really get nerves whenever it's a gig I've never done before, because I just, you know, I'm feeling the crowd out and like trying to figure that out. The Dustin thing really takes a lot of, you know, he's the star of that, you know, so I'm just really just kind of, I'm back there having fun, man, hitting buttons and making sure it goes smooth, but like I'm just dancing and having a good time. Like the focus is not on me, even though people are obviously paying some attention, all the focus is on him. So like the pressure is just non-existent with that stuff, to be honest. I mean, outside of knowing I can't fuck it up, but like he, you know, that's, I don't really get nerves with the Dustin thing. Outside of like, I was nervous before the very first one because I'm like, this is a huge deal. It's a big deal. And this is my first time being in this venue, and like, you know, and a lot is like riding on, you know, because I designed the whole show, everything.
It's like your baby.
I did. Yeah. I created the whole thing. I mean, and like suggestions that I made for cover tunes, everything. Like he's like, I trust you. Let's do it. You know?
Cool.
So it's like, if the thing flops, it's not his fault. It's mine, you know? Cause I like very vehemently like pushed for certain things to be in there. And he, you know, some of the team was like, man, are you sure this doesn't go too hard? I'm like, trust me.
Yeah.
Just trust me. If it, we can always tweak, but like, just trust me on it. And they did, which is cool because that's a lot to trust one person with. Like, it's hard to trust like someone showing up on time, showing up with the thumb drive. It's just like, there's so many things. They've never worked with me before.
Yeah.
So like, there's so many gray areas of like, oh, we're putting all these eggs into this kid's basket. And like, we literally are just fully trusting him because we don't know this world. And like, we, hope he shows up and it's ready to go, But this last show, having some of his team there and agents and all that stuff, like having them see it and freak out was awesome. It was awesome. They loved it.
What about the feeling you get after a big show like that? Especially like you mentioned earlier, a lot of these shows are starting late, so they're ending even later.
Yeah.
And when you have shows multiple times a week, how is it? Because I assume, at least the feeling that I get when I've done shows or done big events, it's like you're amped up afterwards.
Oh my God.
How do you control that going multiple nights a week?
You're so amped up. That's why you're like, that's why I just like don't want to go to sleep. I'm like, it's amazing. It's the most amazing high that no drug or alcohol or anything can match, You just feel great, especially because like energy is a real thing. Like the energy a crowd gives you and the energy you put out, and when it's reciprocated, you're just fired up. So whenever we got finished on Friday, it was like everyone was just like, that was incredible, and the crowd was just wild about it. And like even Diplo was like, man, he'd never seen our show either. He's like, I gotta bring it. Like I bring it after that. That was awesome. And that's like, you get people saying stuff like that and you're like, okay, we're really on to something here. Yeah. Really, really cool. The talks that are happening behind the scenes are pretty incredible. Obviously Excess wants to make it a thing, whether that be a residency or like, because you still have to deal with Dustin's like tour schedule as well, right, as an artist. And it's still being an artist in this thing too. It's just different. And it's so cool because really, it doesn't take if Dustin plays a live show, it's an army that it takes to do these things, man. Yeah. It's an army, you have a huge group of people that make those things happen. This little DJ stuff's like just a few of us, man. It just takes a little group but it's still like as impactful, which is crazy. It's really cool. And the venues that are hitting us up to do stuff and all the opportunities we have coming are insane.
How do you stay energized for every show when you have multiple a week? I guess it kind of plays off of what we were talking about when you look at a lot of other DJs and artists like yourself that, staying healthy and stuff like that. But even just keeping the energy up is another thing too. I feel like when you have multiple,
big part of it
shows.
For me, I'm heavily heavily dependent on the crowd's energy. It's like the second you start feeling their energy, it's like you just pep up, man. Yeah. It's, and I love what I do. Like I could tell you if I woke up tomorrow with hundreds of millions of dollars in my bank account, like I would 100% still DJ. I love it. I love entertaining. I love it. And I love that I'm part of this DL thing because it's like, it's a new fun experience. And he's like all about it. He loves it. Like, he literally is, he's like, man, I'm so excited about this. Like, because things can, say you played 100 or 200 shows that year, most of them are kind of redundant and you play the same thing and you can get burnt out and like things get less exciting. What really feeds you is the crowd and like those interactions, but going into it, sometimes you could be like, man, I kind of just want to go home and play Call of Duty or like chill and do nothing. But then that crowd gives you that energy and you're like revived. But, that's what's cool about these EDM things we're doing. Not only did I design the set to where it can change each week. Like it could change, each set can change so that we don't ever get bored. Right. And the venues don't ever get bored. and like in the crowds, like they can come to a different show each time, and they're going to get a kind of a little bit of different show with a different surprise, maybe a different cover, whatever. It's really cool. It's really cool. And it's continuing to evolve. We're doing 30 minutes right now, but we're already working on an hour so that we have both options. And it's just the opportunities and everything is just awesome. So cool.
Working with a lot of these vocalists, like Dustin Lynch, even in your original music, you work with other artists. But there's people that probably don't know that you yourself were a vocalist and went to school for vocals, performed at the White House, were on American Idol.
Yeah.
Why did you switch? Like what was the spark that was in you that made you say, I want to be a DJ instead of a vocalist?
It's a great question. So way back, like when I first moved to Nashville, I was songwriting in bands. I was in a group that, our country group like was singing for Lyric Street, which was Rascal Flatts and Disney and like Warner Brothers, all that. And they had serious interest and I'd had like all these things. And, you have to get a drummer and a guitarist and you have other people involved. And if one guy's sick, you can't do a gig, because as a vocalist, sometimes your voice don't work.
Yeah.
And that's a whole thing to itself. And I just kind of like, I burnt out on the industry. One of the guys in the group, had some life stuff happen. And so the group literally had like record labels ready to sign us and stuff. And it just fell through. And I'm like, this is it. I'm done doing this, man. And I tried to do like a solo thing again. And like, I'd have a drummer not show up to a thing or just all that. Like I kept having to like rely on others. And so I just stepped back and still knew I loved music and everything. And I got my first opportunity to just like DJ in a club in downtown Nashville. And I taught myself to DJ. And back then it was still, you'd burn CDs. And like, I wasn't a vinyl DJ, but I'd like burn CDs and like DJ the night. And I was really kind of had a knack for it because I have a very broad spectrum of music I love.
Right.
And I can read a crowd and their energy. Fast forward, I'd get like some random gigs for my friends and stuff. And then what changed everything was Whiskey Row came to town. And they put just a huge emphasis on DJs. And Ward Gunther, who is a legend in Nashville, I told him, I was like, I DJ and I want to play at Whiskey Row. And he goes, I can put in a good word for you. I was like, that would mean everything to me. And so I auditioned, I got to play like a random Wednesday night and they called me back and I got like Monday nights on the rooftop. And then they're like, hey, that went really well. You want to play Tuesdays too? And then I got Wednesdays. And then next thing you know it, I'm doing Saturday nights and my DJ stuff just took off and I started becoming like very successful with it. Not out of state or anything, but like in the Nashville scene. And, this most recent thing has just been incredible, It's like, I played some festivals and some fairs and stuff. And it's like, it was at this tipping point where either things are going to go, something's going to happen, or I'm just going to stay here, and
Kind of plateau.
Yeah. And this shit just
Kept going.
And now it's just going wild. It's wild.
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
Do you have like a top three or guys that you look up to in the industry in terms of DJs? I know you mentioned Diplo, but do you have guys when you were first learning to DJ that you were looking at like, hey, I can use different things from how they do it and how they do it and how they do it, and then kind of mix it with your own style?
Yeah. I think at first I was really inclined because I come from a pretty like, I love pop music and like,
Me too.
I love singing along to stuff. And I think most people do too, in the EDM world, you get a lot of tracks that don't have vocals or anything, and those have their place too.
Yeah.
But like the stuff that really like resonates with people are the stuff they can like sing along to and be a part of it, So like I always lean that way. And I loved David Guetta and Tiesto. I loved because they had like this EDM pop thing. Like David Guetta, it's pop EDM, even though it can go really hard and stuff. Even John Summit, like I'm not a huge house guy, but I love his sets. Like, and he's even like messing with like subtronics and stuff on stuff just to like break the set up and like But you know, he's got these amazing female vocals on these tracks that everyone can sing along to. It's just great. So like I look up to those guys, man. And you know, they're producing everything themselves. I can produce, but I'm quite literally taking classes with some of the guys from Icon Collective and like other stuff to like get faster with it. Cause now that I'm having all these opportunities, like you're on this time slot thing, like where you like have to have stuff done in like days.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little slower with it. You know, I can get stuff done, but there's no time. So I'm literally taking production classes so that I can get a better workflow and like have stuff either in the can done already, or like just if someone asks for something, I'm like, yeah, crank it out. But there's also dudes that are never going to stand on stage and don't want to, or whatever, that are mad scientists in the studio. And like, they can crank out a song in 30 minutes and it's the best thing you've ever heard. And it's kind of like, it's like old school Nashville. Like none of those guys wrote songs, you know, like George Strait and all those guys. The songwriters were just in the studio grinding, writing, and then the artist was the artist. Now it's because the scenes change. It's like you have to write, you have to do all these things. But you know, it's EDM music is amazing because like you're everything. You're writing the song, you're producing the song, you're creating all of it. So like I really look up to the guys that are like elite producers like Guetta and all that, because I mean it's just hit after hit after hit. And Tiesto wrote this really cool article that I read years ago that was like, you know, take them on a journey, like bring their heart rates up and down, like you put people into a trance almost, and like they feel like they're having a religious experience at your shows. And I mean, you can even look at like church service and stuff. Mm-hmm. They bring you up and down, and like you feel like you're surrounded with like-minded people, and you feel it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's applicable. Music's really powerful. And those guys know how to build those sets. And I've never forgot that article. And that's how, even with Dustin's 30-minute set, I was like peaks and valleys and like sections where you're not necessarily going hard, but like you give someone something that reminds them of their past or whatever. And then then you go hard and hit them in the face and just surprises and stays interesting. You know, it's kind of like that guy, the teacher in Ferris Bueller's Day Off that just Bueller. The brain has this knack to ignore constant stimuli that's not giving you something different. It just like tunes it out. So I've always paid attention to that kind of stuff.
Do you have, those guys are pretty collaborative too? So like David Guetta.
Yes.
Do you have artists, like three artists that you would really want to collaborate with, whether it's on another show like you're doing with Dustin Lynch, or on like a single or an album?
I really want to collab with a reggaeton or Latin artist. And I don't even care who it is. Any of them, from Bad Bunny to Fade to like even like Carol. I think Carol G's voice is sick.
She's sick.
Her voice is like just so hot. Everything like she just sings, and you're like, okay, I don't know, maybe know exactly what you're saying, but like, it's hot. I'd love to do that. I'd love to collab with. I would have said in the past Juice WRLD, but you know, like rest in peace. But like someone in that range that like is kind of like known as a rapper, but can sing too.
Like a Kid Laroi.
Yeah, something like that. I'd love to do something like that, or even like, I mean, like if I could just pick anyone and like the world was my oyster, I'd be like, I'd probably like want to do one with like Justin Bieber. Yeah, just like blow out a track with Justin Bieber. That'd be cool.
That'd be unreal.
That'd be
great
sick.
Vocals for dance and EDM too.
He's just a damn good singer, and he's a good dude. You know, he's it's a good dude. He's doing a lot of the Christian stuff right now, which is it's amazing. Sounds amazing. Yeah, I love that for his journey. But like, he's got just a voice I love.
Just a couple more minutes here, but one of the last things I want to go over is you kind of mentioned it earlier. I want to get another story from you about when the girl yanked your corner of the wall. Do you have one more that's kind of a big, whether it's at Broadway or whether it's even at a bigger event, that you were like, this could be a disaster, and how did you deal with that situation? If you have one off the top of your head.
Let's see. I'd say this has happened several times, and it wasn't necessarily my fault, but I've had people like it's always a girl, just dump their drink on the stuff and it goes haywire. What's weird is it doesn't ruin the board or anything. It just goes berserk.
Okay.
And so like one of the nice things about like nightclubs and those rigs is everything is individually pieced out. So like it's literally just a matter of taking that piece and
Right.
putting it in rice. I don't know. And then putting another one in. But I had that happen one night and it was on the main mixer. And I mean, there was nothing I could do. It killed it. It just killed the whole thing. And everyone was just staring at me. And it was the first time it ever happened. So I didn't come up with any clever singing thing or whatever. I was completely frozen. It was bad. Even though it was not my fault, whatever, everyone, like, the place doesn't care. Like, they're like, it's you, you know? So that was not fun.
So
But
what happened?
ended up getting, like, pulling a board from another place or room or something, and then running up to the sound guy and plugging in a iPod, like Spotify, and just, like, putting on a list and, like, and then getting me a mic and like it was just we couldn't have the silence, you know.
The crowd's just sitting there waiting, like, hey.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too, like, you know, a lot of these places have like hazers and stuff, but they all have laser based like fire sensors.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful because the way the fire marshal wants it is like if one of those alarms goes off, it shuts everything off on the whole building, every floor, all the sound, everything. So like
Even
the
more of a
first time,
disaster.
so like that's happened, the whole building.
No.
And you have to have the like someone from the fire department come and reset it. So we're talking like however long that takes.
Oh, no.
And that's the whole building. Just no sound, no nothing.
That's crazy.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Man, that's insane. And I could sit here and talk to you all day. We might have to do a part 2.
Hey, let's do it.
But
anytime.
the last thing I'm going to get you to do when we cut cameras here is I'm going to give you one of these cards, and all I want you to do is write down a thought or a piece of advice or something that you live by, like a mantra or something that someone who's watching, if they want to do same type of thing that you're doing, whether it's production, DJing, working with these different artists, setting up a show that they can look at and kind of go off of in the future. But thank you very much. I know, like we mentioned, you're a busy guy. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And thank you for coming, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Boom. That was great, man.